Now that we have finally entered September and that officially marks the beginning of spooky season, I just got this motivational boost to just make a video about movies. Fall is my favorite time of year, going for long walks in the woods where the trees are changing color, actually wearing sweaters and blankets, and you can actually use them without being overheated, and obviously to consume as much spookiness as possible. So I'm definitely watching a lot more horror than I am reading it, but I am looking for horror recommendations to read as well, so please feel free to leave some suggestions if you know about any books that you love, because I need some more inspiration for my own story, which I will talk about in another video. But all that is a tangent. Today I'm gonna talk about 12 movies that I feel like you should watch in preparation for spooky season. I love rewatching movies, and I think a lot of people can relate to this in revisiting things at a special time, just because it just gives you that perfect vibe. It just puts you in the right mood, you know? So grab yourself a mug. I have one here, a nut mug. So the list here, it doesn't have any particular order of like favorites or anything. I will tell you where they were available to me, and then I will just like say that I had to rent them if I had to do that. I'm just gonna get these two franchises out of the way firstly, because I don't need to talk about them. You know all about them. They're comfort watches, and that is the Twilight Saga and the Harry Potter movies. Definitely watching them very, very soon. So first up, we have the Blair Witch Project. 3 film students vanish after traveling into a Maryland forest to film a documentary on a local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. I'm pretty sure I was like 10 years old when I saw this the first time, and I didn't understand a damn thing. It was such a different movie from what I was used to watching as 10 years old. But damn, when I rewatched it now, it was super efficient. I was legitimately scared several times. The found footage genre is slowly becoming a favorite of mine, especially when it's done in such a simplistic way. Like, horror writers of today should definitely take notes of these types of movies, because it doesn't need much to be actually really, really scary. The movie is just 3 people in the woods filming on a handheld camera. There's no crazy CGI effects or anything major happening. It's just like you know that something is there. That's super duper scary. Yeah, I'm sorry it's a little bit sunny right here where my boy Ash is, but you know, sometimes you just have to light up the gods. Next up, we have the movie Friday the 13th from 2009. A group of young adults visit a boarded up campsite named Crystal Lake, where they soon encounter the mysterious Jason Voorhees and his deadly intentions. I watched this movie for the plot. Definitely for the plot. Seriously though, this is one of my favorite like teen camp slasher type movies. It's got everything you need, in my opinion. It's an unbeatable killer who moves at the pace of a snail, and still he manages to kill off these teens one by one. What I really like is that sometimes we think that someone's gonna die in a particular way, and then that doesn't happen. So it just like keeps you on your toes all the time. Then we have The Boy from 2016. An American nanny is shocked that her new English family's boy is actually a life-size doll. After she violates a list of strict rules, disturbing events make her believe that the doll is really alive. I also watched this for the plot. I remember really liking this when it came out, and it's definitely due for a rewatch. I love how simplistic it is, and it's not got like the haunted vibe you think it has, but there's some plot twists here. Nothing too crazy or far-fetched. It is a good old-fashioned thriller with a creepy doll and a woman who is at the wrong place at the wrong time. Next up, we have The Black Phone from 2022. After being abducted by a child killer and locked in a soundproof basement, a 13-year-old boy starts receiving calls on a disconnected phone from the killer's previous victims. The atmosphere in this movie is phenomenal. I love the 80s vibe of series and shows these days. The kids in this movie, they play so great. The supernatural elements here is very cool, and for the original plot it gets bonus points. It's got some surprising things happening, but for the most part it's pretty simple, but I'm totally fine with it, even though I might have wanted it to end a little differently. This is a movie I can definitely rewatch. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorite movies from childhood. Came out the year I was born, so I have a special bond with this, and this is the original Casper movie from 1995. An afterlife therapist and his daughter meets a friendly young ghost when they move into a crumbling mansion in order to rid the premises of wicked spirits. This is an early spooky season must-watch for me every year, and I'm pretty sure I've watched it every single year since I got it on VHS. This is definitely the cutest movie I have on this list. It's just like the music is so beautiful, the characters are super funny. It's got like this like textbook Halloween teen 90s vibe, and it's immaculate. I will definitely introduce my children, potential children, might happen children, to this movie. Then we have what's on my shirt actually, which is Army of Darkness from 1992. A sardonic hardware store clerk is accidentally transported to 1300 AD, where he must retrieve the Necronomicon and battle an army of the dead so he can return home. This is another must-watch for me. It's the third movie of the Evil Dead trilogy, which I like, but the third one is the one that I find the funniest. And it's just really charming. It's really cheesy. Both the plot and the lines are really cheesy, but it's honestly so funny and clever, and it's just such a rewatchable movie for me. Bruce Campbell is a treasure, and I really like him in the show Ash vs. Evil Dead as well. Next, we have a Stephen King adaptation that is one of my favorite movies and scary movies of all time, It. In the summer of 1989, a group of bullied kids band together to destroy a shape-shifting monster, which disguises itself as a clown and preys on the children of Derry, their small Maine town. The main reason why this is one of my favorite movies is because the kids in the movie have so great chemistry. They play so well off one another, and the lines they have, they're so funny. Like, are you actually kidding me? Like I said about the black phone, I love the 80s vibe, and this I feel like encapsulates that feeling perfectly. I was surprised when I saw this in the cinema, and I was just like laughing all the time because there's so much humor squeezed in between the horrors, obviously. I love Stephen King, both books and movie adaptations, so this is highly recommended by me. And we have some more creepy doll recommendations. The next one is Dead Silence from 2007. A young widower returns to his hometown to search for answers to his wife's murder, which may be linked to the ghost of a deceased ventriloquist. I've hated ventriloquists and their dummies ever since I saw that one episode of Goosebumps that just like shook me to my very core. And this movie is like that episode, just times 1,000. It's got some really good scares. If dolls aren't your thing, you're gonna hate this movie, but if you are in for some really good thrills, then you definitely should check this out. Next up, we have a movie that I'm gonna recommend to everyone forever. If there's one movie on this list that you have to watch, it is this one. This is Gothika from 2003. A depressed psychiatrist wakes up as a patient in the asylum where she worked, with no memory of why she is there or what she has done. This one is so great, and it's got some super duper scary elements. Halle Berry just plays this role perfectly, of a woman who doesn't know what's going on, what's happened, what's going to happen. It's such a good thriller, and the pace is just perfect. I can't praise this movie enough, honestly. I think it was, and just like the filter of everything, that making it things like making it kind of like blue-ish. Yeah, no, this is the perfect spooky season prep movie. Okay, this next one is kind of a guilty pleasure one, I almost want to say. It's Jennifer's Body from 2009. A newly possessed high school cheerleader turns into a succubus who specializes in killing her male classmates. Can her best friend put an end to the horror? It's ridiculous and over the top. And Megan Fox is so sexy. That's also kind of ridiculous. But it's got some scary scenes and some scary, disturbing things happening, and that's why it's definitely worth a watch. I've seen it several times because of the cheesiness. It's kind of almost like a scary movie comfort movie for me. Really funny. Next up is one more children's movie, The Haunted Mansion from 2003. A realtor and his wife and children are summoned to a mansion, which they soon discover is haunted, and while they attempt to escape, he learns an important lesson about the family he has neglected. This is a classic, and it's so easy to just like rewatch and just throw on. A dark mansion with a dark tale and some dark characters. It's definitely a kids movie, but there's definitely also some disturbing things here that I feel can fit anyone's fancy. But hey, it's Eddie Murphy, so it's kind of doomed to be more fun than anything else.
Over dinner.
It's not nearly as dear to me as Casper is, but it definitely speaks to like my young spooky heart. Last movie on the list is The Mist from 2007, which is also a Stephen King adaptation. A freak storm unleashes a species of bloodthirsty creatures on a small town, where a small band of citizens hole up in a supermarket and fight for their lives. I really love one location movies because it's just so intense, and it's so interesting to see what people do in the minimal space that that is available to them, and to see what they use to survive and what they do to help others. My heart broke the first time I saw this, and you will understand too when you reach the end. So there you have it, 12 movies that you can watch to prepare yourself for spooky season. I'm also, of course, watching new movies. Today I watched The Nest from 2021. Like, you can kind of feel the quality of the movie pretty early on, and I kind of regret watching the whole thing, even though it was worth it for like the 3 final minutes. Like, that was crazy. But yeah, I will watch more movies and I will recommend more movies, but this is just like, so you can like kind of like dip your toe into the spookiness before we get like further into it, you know? Oh my god, the sun is back. Oh my god, it's ruining my spooky vibe. So if you have any movies that you like to watch every year, please write them all down, because I love finding more movies to add to my rewatch list, and also just like future scary movie watching lists. Until next time, bye bye.